While CEO here, Colin Stuckert, back for another solo show. Today is something that I've been thinking and dealing with a lot lately. It seems like most of the shows are like that. I'm doing something new. So if you want to actually watch this podcast on YouTube and kind of see me in the Wild Studio and get some of the hand action and how I go about it, then you can go over to the Wild CEO. Just type that in YouTube. I need to get a URL for that, but there will also be links below wherever you're finding this. Today's topic, now, I find it in business, our coaching clients are what's brought it to the surface for me to talk about it today. But it's something that applies to every aspect of life, every area of life, anything you're trying to get done, any project, anything. Okay, you're going to do these things. Like, there's actually a really good book written about it. I have it here right on the wall. I'm going to grab it real quick. For the Camera, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, and he calls it capital R resistance. And what that is, resistance comes in many forms. He talks about it in a lot of creative ways to get you to understand that how resistance is like this natural force that's inside every human that keeps us from doing the things that either we don't want to do, or that are hard to do, or that are going to take a lot of time or commitment. He uses the capital R resistance to show that anytime we do something to prevent doing the things we need to do or want to do or that are hard to do, capital R resistance is the thing at play there, is the thing that's preventing us. Right? So when you procrastinate, that's resistance taking over. And it comes in a million different manifestations in different ways. It's different for different people depending on the work you're doing or your schedule or whatever you're trying to do with your life, right? Everyone has a different flavor of resistance. They have the different resistance pitfalls that they fall into. And it's just really hard to identify those on a case-by-case basis because they are a case-by-case basis. But we can talk about some of these from a broad overview, and I know that you're going to find some similarities in your own life, and then hopefully you can recognize the resistance in your life and recognize these pitfalls you're falling into, which a lot of times are subconscious, and then you can do something about it to make it better. So what am I talking about here? Well, let me just give you a quick backstory real quick. And today's show is going to be 15 minutes tops, okay? So bear with me. It's going to be worth it as always, as I promise. If you haven't liked and subscribed and left us a review on iTunes or Apple, Apple is iTunes, or Google Play, or where else are we on? Oh, Spotify. Make sure you bookmark us, follow us, subscribe. It really helps us out. And then leave reviews anywhere you can find. And if you need to ask us anything or recommend anything or leave some feedback, go to info@tribe10k.com, or I should say send us an email to info@tribe10k.com, and we'd love to hear from you. Okay. So we've been doing this Tribe 10K thing, which is our coaching accountability program, for about, I would say 2 months now. We've had private clients for a couple months before then. So we're almost at like the 180-day mark in this. Maybe it's closer to it's closer to probably 120, 90 to 120 days. And we've been really starting to uncover some results with the different students and clients that we have in these various programs. And the thing that is constant, that every time we get a little bit of result, there's always something else to do, right? Because when you get results, you actually have to double down and invest more time into the thing that got you those results so you can get even more results, right? Well, every time that happens, there's a new thing we have to do. And when there's a new thing we have to do, resistance comes in. I'll give you an example. All right, so one of our students had an event recently, and it was really great. People came, they cried, they laughed, they connected. It was an amazing thing, right? It was just through and through an amazing thing. Now, the goal for that person holding that event is to then launch a coaching program. And we've talked about pricing, we've talked about format, we've talked about all these different things. Okay, so the event happens, a few days go by, meetings are like, oh, high off the event, this was amazing, blah, blah. Then we start talking about like, okay, what are next steps? And so that's where I shine, that's my focus, is always trying to help people make sure that they have a very clear linear path of what's next to do, and then they wake up every single day focused on getting that done. All right, so it's probably been a week now since that's happened. We've had a couple meetings. We kind of have a clear idea of what needs to get done, and we definitely have some very specific, focused, clear things we have to do. Now, because this is a business project, I'm just going to be specific with it so you can understand this, but this could apply to a lot of different things, whether it's a project at work, whether it's an own personal project, whether it's something you're trying to build or write or create, whatever it is, okay? Well, we have a very clear goal of getting 10 students into this program, which is a high-ticket program. Now, to get the 10 students into that program, we have to reverse engineer to the top of the funnel, right? Which is where you basically have people that are interested, that would be a target, and then you would reach out to them, establish contact, talk to them, and then basically try to get them on a phone call to see if it's going to be a fit. And then if it's a fit, you sell them on the phone, get them into the program. right? That's the basic sales process for this coaching program we're going to launch, and we're only aiming for 10 people. Now, let's say we have about 60 to 75 people that are potential leads for this program, right? Well, the way we look at this is very simple. We have to establish contact with those 75 people, whether it's DM, email, phone call, whatever, all right? And then from there, we talk a little bit, ask them if they're interested. If they are, then we move to the next step of the process, which is, okay, let's get on the phone. We can chat about it, see if it's a fit, and then we can talk about next steps, right? So the first step in this process to go from 75 potential leads to 10 people in the coaching program is establish contact with each person, okay? Then it's schedule those phone calls. And so we work the math based on some assumptions and based on some average numbers to be, let's contact initially those 75 people, try to get them to receive our email or phone call or whatever, okay? And then let's get 20 calls scheduled. It's about a 30% conversion from lead to call, right? Then from those 30 people that we get on the phone, we want to convert about 30%, so we want to sign up 10 people, okay? This is very simple when you break it down this way. This is very linear. Now, what hasn't happened since that event a week ago is almost any action on this specific process, right? And this is a form of resistance. And this is where it's very insidious, because after the event, everyone's excited about it. They talk about it. New ideas come up, new plans come up, lots of meetings and discussions and all the really fun stuff that humans like to do, right? And also things that dupe us into thinking we're actually doing something. Like, it's good to have discussions and be excited, but doing things is what's doing things. Talking about things is not doing things. Talking about things can be a precursor to doing things, but doing things is still the thing that has to happen to have done things, right? Like, it seems so stupid to even put it that way, but it literally is something that we need to be reminded of all the time, because we're very bad at the doing. We're very good at the talking, and a lot of us are very good at the thinking, but we're very bad at the doing, and most people are very bad at the doing. So the week goes by, we map some of this out, and the actual numbers that were accomplished since then were about 3 reach outs and I think 2 phone calls. So our goal was 60 reach outs, right? And 20 phone calls and 10 signups. But we're at 3 reach outs and 2 phone calls and 0 sales, right? There's some interest and there's some follow-up process. So those might turn into sales, but you can see how lacking that is, right? And the way I think about business and the way you should think about these type of things, whether it's project or business, are always reverse engineer it and then find out what are your daily things that you can accomplish. Like, what's your daily bucket, okay? For something like this, because it's only 60 people, we established that on X day, so we had a meeting Friday, and actually it's happening today. The goal was tomorrow, it's gonna be you and someone's gonna help you, and we're gonna knock out all 60 of those reach outs, and then we're gonna track it on a spreadsheet. That is step 1 of this multi-step process, and it can get done in about an hour, maybe 2 hours. Okay. Then from there, you get into follow-ups. And then so that what would actually have to happen next, because they're going to be on different schedules, is 2 days after that, maybe 3, we're going to make sure to send a follow-up, either message, DM, email, phone call, text, whatever, to all of those 60 people that have yet to reply, right? So let's say Saturday, first reach out. Monday, follow-up. Right? And then we would basically keep following up until people kind of express that they're not interested, and we can kind of cross them off, or we get a call scheduled. And then once a call's scheduled, we try to get them signed up in the program on the call. And then if they don't sign up on the call, then we do a basic follow-up sequence, which is basically just a bunch of steps that are like every couple days, you take these actions and you track your actions, and that's how we're going to go from 60 leads to 10 people in the program, maybe more, right? We will have vetted and reached out to every single person on our list. And once we do this and go through this process, I'm about 99.99% likely we're going to fill up the program, right? But where the resistance comes in is this person didn't do those things. This person did a couple of them, even though we had talked about a lot, and it really took like a meeting where I was just like, you're going to do this by the weekend, okay? And this was a Friday, so you have 2 days to get this done. And so, to this person's credit, they set it for 3 p.m. today. And they should get it done by then. And then that's going to be the first major milestone checked off. Now let's back up a second here, because it's a very specific example. What happens though all the time is, like, we like to talk about things. We like to be creative. We like to brainstorm. We like to even make lists. Maybe we even map out linear paths. but then putting those tasks onto a schedule or into a system where you do X every day, or like maybe X every 2 days, or whatever it is based on what you're doing. You put it into a very trackable step by step, and then you connect it to a day and time, and then you do it on said day and time, and then you go to the next step on the next said day and time, and on and on and on. This is how stuff gets done. It's not rocket science, but resistance comes in and tries to keep you from doing it. And you'll see this all the time. I've seen it 100 times. Even with all of our clients and students, we are constantly pushing them. What's your next step? What are you focusing on? What are your big things? What's your essentialism? What's your 80-20, right? What's your number one thing? What's your deep work routine? That should be focused on those things. We have to constantly get people off the easy fun stuff. Social media, having meetings, sending emails, things that like feel productive but really aren't. Things that can be pushed to the side or not done at all, or maybe even eliminated completely, so that they can focus on the big, important things. So for this project, what I've told her is you should do absolutely nothing. You shouldn't even be posting to your social media account until you've gotten the first 60 reach outs done, and then you've gotten those 20 calls scheduled, and then you have a schedule for what you're gonna do with the follow-up and sales process. Think about a project in your life or a goal or something. You set a goal, maybe you give yourself a deadline, which is very important. Most people don't even do that. Like they don't have a by when. Having a by when, having a deadline is extremely important for getting things done. There's a law known as Parkinson's law that I reference a lot. It's this idea that if you give yourself a day or 30 days, you will get it done in 1 day or you'll get it done in 30 days. It's like why when people cram for tests, because they have 2 weeks to study for tests, they try to do it the night before. It's just a law of human behavior, right? And it's been observed in countless examples. So use deadlines. Use by whens, keep yourself accountable to them, and then figure out the amount of time you have and break down the tasks and the path and all these things into a daily actionable to-do item. Even if you're doing something for 10 to 15 minutes a day, when you take daily action, the results you get are literally out of this world. It's probably the number one superpower for anybody that gets anything done, and they probably don't even recognize it. And some are better than others getting things done. When you take daily action on something, even if it's a small micro action, when it's at the forefront of your consciousness, when it's brought to the front of your consciousness and you take action on it, that's how stuff happens. That's how it does. That's literally how it happens. So I think that's going to be good enough for today. Like let's think about some actionable items you can take away from this. And let's kind of review. So you have to use deadlines. You have to give yourself a by when to have things done. Then you have to try to map out a linear process to accomplish said thing, okay? Then you have to try to figure out a daily or bi-daily or weekly, like depending. I like daily. Daily is always usually better, even if it's a little bit, but some things can kind of be done every other day, or if it's kind of a weekly thing, you can kind of do that. I mean, there's a lot of variability to this because depending on what we're talking about here, but if you're trying to actually build something creatively or work-wise, project-wise, like when you do it daily, it's 1,000 times better than when it's bi-daily. And then when you do it bi-daily, or even bi-daily, is that the right word? Like every other day, it's infinitely better than weekly. And then weekly is infinitely better than monthly. See what I'm saying? The more you can do it and the faster you can do it, the more you can develop habits, the more it's at the front of your mind, and the more you can adapt and make changes, right? So after that, you're going to figure out what are you going to do on that daily schedule, and what are you going to use to keep yourself accountable? Google Calendar, Asana, Boomerang and Gmail, a piece of paper with dates, like a daily checklist. That doesn't really matter. It's just committing to something to make it happen is what really matters, okay? So, I've hit my 15-minute budget for the show. I hope today's show was useful. I hope you spend some time thinking about how you can apply this to your work, to your creative work, to your actual work, to maybe your side hustle, maybe to your weight loss or fat loss or diet or something, right? Like a lot of these principles of getting things done also apply to accomplishing goals and habits and breaking habits and all these different things. Like you really need to break things out, and you need to build it into a system, into a calendar, and use time and deadlines to make sure stuff gets done. Because again, the constant here are humans, and humans have a lot of bad habits. We have a lot of cognitive biases, and we have a lot of pitfalls that a lot of us don't even understand are there because of either lack of self-awareness or because we just haven't developed the habits yet or whatever. This stuff is very complex. It takes time, it takes iteration, and more than anything, it takes consistency. So I hope you do something with this. Feel free to send me some feedback, info@tridemk.com, and we'll probably have some ads in here. You know what? That's going to be it. All right, guys. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.